All right, now I want to say something about thing number 2, and that's intellectual property. Are you all still with me? Are you happy? Okay, all right. Because this is good. Because you know what, whenever you see me, I can't tell it. You know, but I don't want you to stop eating at all. Okay, so this is another place where I think teacher librarians can really take a lead in any building. And you need to be on top of this. So there's some really great things to celebrate relating to intellectual property. Because I think about 2 or 3 years ago, I felt really like a gatekeeper. But now I feel so much more like a cheerleader. And I'll tell you why. Thing number 2, Creative Commons. I know some of you cannot raise your hands because you're still eating, but how many of you are teaching about Creative Commons? Okay, I know that the reason hands are not up is because you're eating, but everybody has to do this. I mean, it's something amazing to celebrate. There is the assumed copyright as soon as you put something out. But above that assumed copyright, anytime you publish or broadcast something, you can add a license, and that license tells people how you want them to use your work. And so what I've done, and what a lot of librarians have done, is to pull together the best copyright-friendly portals. So when students are doing media production, when teachers are doing media production, they can really easily find these portals, and they're fabulous portals. I'm going to show you a few of those I've done on copyright-friendly materials. And my kids use this, I don't know, each kid maybe uses this 2 or 3 times a day, literally. This site gets a lot of action. They need a way to get beyond Google Images. If you want them to get beyond Google Images, you have to give them a way to do it. And so creating these portals for them is a way that I can do this. I'm going to skip a few slides because I'm afraid. One of the things you can do is use YouTube's new resources on copyright and fair use and Creative Commons. So those resources are out there, and they work for children as young as the intermediate grade. But this in itself, this is Flickr's Creative Commons page. This is an instructional tool, probably once a month. It is not just regular Flickr. It is Flickr with the licensing, and if you click on any of these areas, you can search in those buckets. So the first one is the most liberal of the licenses, and that's attribution only. So the people who put their stuff in there say, hey, take my images, use them. All I want you to do is tell people where you got them. And so citation works. But you can see on the right side of that page that those little icons are very, very clear. And you know what? This is not just for content creators that you don't know. This is for your students' work. Every student who puts a piece of work out there ought to be thinking about how they want other people to use their work. Do your students put Creative Commons licenses, or just a big C for copyright, on their own work? I believe they should. Some of my favorite portals are Flickr, Creative Commons Blue Mountains. This is just beautiful. Look at the image result list. And what's lovely about this one is that it goes immediately into Picnic as an image editor, and it tells you what the licenses are, and it allows you to go big, small, medium, whatever size, and it gives you a bit of the attribution right on the results page. I use Wileo because when I want to embed media or an image, it comes actually with the attribution as soon as I paste the embed code in. So that's a really convenient way to grab images. And this is really great for younger kids. If you're having younger kids look for Creative Commons images, basically, if you are a 3rd grade teacher and you want to make sure they do that, basically you can do the search on your own, and as you select the images you want, it'll fill a tray on that left side. And basically, you can get 300 images, the tray will have a URL, and then you can have the kids search within that filtered tray. And that tray will have only the Creative Commons license you've chosen, and it will be filtered for non-icky images. And this is what I was saying before. Creative Commons offers a little bit of a wizard that will help students decide what type of license they want to put on their own work. That's 2.5. All right, now, here's the thing. I am so excited about Creative Commons because it gives us so much material to work with. We don't have to be afraid of republishing and rebroadcasting. And this is a wonderful line drawing of a Native American woman. You agree? Okay, so here's the problem. Say you're a junior in high school, and say that what you really want to do with this project that's been assigned is discover how Native Americans have been portrayed in the media for the last 50 years. Will Creative Commons art cut it? No. No, you need to use copyrighted material. And that you can use copyrighted materials without asking a photographer or an artist permission under fair use, under certain conditions. Because it would be impossible to do that project without using a clip or an image from Disney's Pocahontas or The Lone Ranger or Peter Pan perhaps or Little Big Man. You'd need to use that. Kids want to comment on media. Kids want to remix. And here's the deal. They can, based on this document. It really defines, it's a code of best practice for fair use, and every school has to have a copy of this so that you can really understand it. In addition to this little document, which you can download for free, you also need to download this forum, and it's available on the Copyright Confusion Wiki. It's hard. It's hard at lunch. All right, so this is a tool for reasoning fair use. And basically, above those normal things about fair use, the new understandings are that it is okay to use copyrighted material if you are repurposing the material and you're adding value to the material. And that acknowledges what this remix world is about. And the categories generally are positive or negative commentary, satire, parody. All the reasons that Jon Stewart can do what he does, our kids can do that stuff as well, but they need to rationalize it. And this is really a thinking and a learning tool. There's a lot of videos that have been put out by Temple University, local for me, on fair use, and these can be used as instructional tools. In fact, I have a whole LibGuide that collects all these videos and instructional tools on fair use. And these are things that kids really need to know as they go out into the world and at the university. These are the categories under which courts have generally found it okay to use copyrighted material and claim fair use. And these are discussions you can have with freshmen in high school. I think that's when I would start that stuff. The other thing that I think is very, very exciting relating to intellectual property is that it is easier than ever for kids to create their own media. And tools like Jam Studio make it really easy for kids to put music behind those presentations that they're making. I'm going to skip a couple of these. All right, let's see what Research 2.0 looks like. I think Research 2.0 right now is more than ever about critical thinking, problem solving, decision making, and a word that I use with my kids all the time, triangulation. Research right now can be transparent, interactive, meaningful, and original. And I'll tell you something I said in the curation workshop before. The book is no longer an adequate container for student research. They can't put all the stuff that they need in a notebook like the alternate strategies. David's Knowledge Building Center is a great model, and in this case, this is built in Google Sites, and it's a great way for kids to collaborate and build on research. Another model, or another container, actually this is not a model, is Googlios. It's a place where you can build portfolios and also grab research content and make sense of it. Helen Barrett talks about these e-portfolios and gives you several ideas of how you can create them. But I'm also using tools like this. This is Live Binders. This is a notebook metaphor, so it's a virtual binder, collecting all those URLs, all those PDFs, all those videos, commenting and reflecting on them, and they came into this one little binder that the teacher could grab, the librarian can grab, and embed anywhere, and then the student could use it as well as a presentation tool. These are real-life skills. This is just an example of my students' senior projects, and this one is in a wiki. And what we have the kids do is pick research that makes sense. Pick something that you're passionate about and choose something that makes a difference. My brother was in Afghanistan. And I talked about this during the curation workshop. And what Allison wanted to do was make a difference for her brother and his buddies who were away. And she couldn't figure figure this out, and then one day she discovered, reading a soldier's blog from the New York Times, that what the soldiers really wanted were cigars. And the cigars kept the bugs away at night. She did this cigar drive, and she was successful in that. But what she learned along the way was that blogs were a powerful research source in terms of what she was doing. The New York Times had aggregated the best of the soldiers' blogs. She grabbed the RSS feed, and she had that refreshed every day. That was pushed to her. And she actually made a difference with her senior project. This is Joanna. This is Susanna, I'm sorry. Susanna was concerned that our local theater was going to lose its opera showings. She loved opera. What she did was, she researched why people were less interested in opera than they were in other music forms. She went way back. She actually looked at movies that dealt with opera. And she created a PSA that was shown in the actual movie part of the theater that would promote opera in the other part of the theater. And she made a difference in our local community. This is Sam's work, and what was really exciting last year I think it was the year we discovered the hashtag as the research tool. When my kids discovered that they could research what was going on in Egypt back in January, and they discovered the January 25th hashtag, what that led them to was conversations with kids their age about what was going on in Egypt. It was incredibly powerful. Now, I wouldn't do this with younger students, but they were able to mine information and think about what was important and who was a valid voice. In addition to that, what we did with her research, she wanted to actually create a model of what a revolution looked like in the year 2011. And so what I did as a librarian was teach her how to find those hashtags, teach her how to evaluate what was going on in Twitter, and then connect her with classic materials like Britain's Anatomy of a Revolution or Malcolm Gladwell's Tipping Point, her creation of a new model of what a modern revolution looked like. Kids were not doing research like this before, but we have the potential to do stuff like that. In addition, kids as young as 4th and 5th grade can learn how to create a survey instrument, to learn how to structure items on a survey instrument, to predict what kind of data could come out of a Google form, and to integrate that data into analysis and conclusions. They can do this so easily, and they can put this in your Moodle or your website. Are your kids doing this kind of original research? It's so easy, and it's free.